And thank you so much for joining me on For Our Edification. I'm Eddie Francis, and joining me is someone who's, before we even started this conversation, before I hit record, she made a lot of trouble. So I don't know how this interview is going to go, but Carrie KC West, when I was looking for folks, I wanted to hear some fresh stories, and Carrie is one of the people who stepped up and said, "Hey, you know what? I have a story to tell." I doubt that seriously now. I think I've been duped. Carrie is a speaker and author and a narrative coach. Hey, Carrie, how are you?
I don't know. I don't know after that. I don't know. You've been duped. Okay. All right. I like it. I like it. This is good. This is good.
Well, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast, and I can't wait to hear your story. And so let's talk about setbacks because we all got to go through them. We all have to deal with setbacks in our careers. So we all have those times when it feels like we've lost our footing, right?
hmm
When there is a moment in our career when this sort of thing happens. What was that moment for you, and how did you respond to it?
Let's see. I only have about 1,500,000 to choose from. Um, Now, you made a really good point. We all have setbacks.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've had 3 today already. I mean, come on. We
You're not supposed to count.
I know, I know. Well, I have a whiteboard over here. I'm going for a world's record. I'm gonna call what is it, Guinness Book of World Records and say, "How many setbacks do you have?" And that'll start a trend, It'll lighten it up. We'll have this trend of, "I've had more with setbacks." I think that's a good momentum. I think that's something good to do, but here's the truth of it. I've had setback after setback, and
Mhm.
partly because I've had a variety of careers and work that I've done. A lot of times the setbacks were of my own making because I can't seem to keep my mouth shut sometimes. And when you're in a meeting and you say to your boss, "Well, that was stupid." You know, why did you decide to do that? And I don't recommend it to anyone listening or watching this. I do not recommend that as a career strategy. Okay, just don't take that one off the play table.
Oh, hold on.
So
Don't say
don't
that was
don't call
stupid
don't
to
call the
boss.
manager stupid. Yeah, exactly. Um, I I went through a period in my life which I haven't seemed to have gotten out of, actually, where I say what's really on my mind, and I didn't. I'm not a good politician. I'm not a good diplomat either. So I often spoke my mind when I shouldn't have.
Hmm.
And shouldn't have is probably, I'm not one for shoulds. I don't like shoulds. But there comes a time where you have to learn to express yourself in a way that it will be received. So that and all my other setbacks have taught me one thing, that life is not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Life is not intended to be perfect. It's about how you respond when these things happen. So in the example I gave where I called my boss stupid, and he no, it was bad, and I
Yeah.
apologized. I did apologize to the entire team because that wasn't appropriate. If I had a problem with him, I needed to talk to him
Yeah.
away
Yeah.
from everybody else. So you learn from these mistakes, and I apologized, and in actuality, I wasn't calling him stupid. I thought his decision was stupid. And see, what happens is we think that our behaviors or our actions are who we are, and we're not. We have bad responses to a lot of situations. Like me, I can't seem to shut my mouth when you need to shut it. But you learn from it and you try to do better the next time. But you're not about being perfect. It's
Hmm.
about accepting your humanity and accepting that setbacks are a part of life. The question is, how do you respond to them?
Yeah. What kind of work were you doing then?
I don't often work for companies full time. I've more or less been a consultant most of my life, but at that point I was working at AT&T, and I really had a problem with that corporate structure. It was the most when I said I wanted to experience working in a corporation, I sure as heck went to a big giant corporation. And it's like, wow, I didn't even start off small. I went from 0 to a billion. And I didn't understand how this hierarchy works. And I didn't understand
Oh, yeah.
how the reporting structure works. I had no problem, I had a boss, but I had no problem going to the director of the group I was in, bypassing two other layers of bosses. If I have a question, I'm going to go to the source. I'm not going to. I didn't know about playing that game, and how many of you have said you got to learn to play the game. You got to
Yeah.
learn to
Yeah.
follow the rules of that. Well, I never did that. So,
But Carrie, I have to tell you, is I almost kind of had the same experience. My career started in radio,
hmm
and every time I talk to people about that, they say, "Oh, that's so cool that you started in radio." And I said, "Well, I pretty much started in one of the most unprofessional environments that anyone can start in. And then I
yeah,
went into professional environments and I had no earthly idea how to behave. And so I wasn't much different from you. When I went into a more polished environment, I would just say stuff and I would sit there and go, "What? What did I say?"
yeah, 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 yeah. Well, they don't give you a guidebook, do they? They don't tell you how you're
No.
supposed to act in these situations.
No, the closest you get to that is an internship. Unfortunately, my internship was in radio. How did this impact your professional life?
Well, uh, I didn't. I stayed with AT&T for 5 years and long enough to retire to get a
Mm,
kind of vesting. But I didn't it wasn't an environment that suited my growth, suited how I wanted to be in my career. If you think about it, your career is a job that you hold for what, 40, 50 years.
yeah.
And what do you want to be when you grow up? That's the thing. What's your passion? I read all the books about do something you love and the money will follow. All these lovely jingly things they give you to say what your life's work should be. And they wrap it up and call it a career. Well,
Hmm.
I didn't have when I was growing up, I did not have this passion that I was going to be a doctor or a lawyer or something that had this defined career trajectory. I was in such a crappy situation in my house, I just wanted to get the hell out.
Hmm.
So I
Hmm.
looked for a degree program that would get me out of my parents' house, and that was in psychology at Penn State. Main campus got me out. So that's what I did. I figured I could learn anything. And again, when you're 17, 18 years old, do you really know what you want to do?
Right.
I know a lot of lawyers that aren't practicing law. I know a lot of doctors that are struggling. So I honestly recommend to most people if you can take that gap year between high school and college, don't just jump right into college. Yes,
Hmm.
college also teaches you a lot of life skills and about planning and education and preparation for being an adult, but it doesn't necessarily give you training to be successful in a career.
Hmm.
So, with the degree in psychology, again, I had no idea what I was going to do. So, I tried grad school for a semester, didn't like it, and went to live with my sister who was going to Georgetown. And that's where I started just being an independent person. I was consulting with different clients and doing this different kind of consulting work. And then when I said, let's try corporation, I went to AT&T, which was fascinating. But, that all those experiences led me to where I am today because my real passion was writing and storytelling. And I ended up applying to go to the American Film Institute. Didn't think I'd get in. It's a prestigious school. I didn't feel anything at all prestigious. I thought I was a loser. And so I got accepted. I went there, worked in the entertainment industry. Again, a lot of setbacks, a lot of mistakes. And then I went back into being a consultant again, and I've never gone to work for another company again. So, but as a consultant, you have your own kind of setbacks.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
what I work with people now, is to help them minimize those setbacks, or how to respond so it doesn't completely trash your entire business.
Yeah. And what strikes me is um that certainly you value independence, but it also sounds like you value flexibility, a lot of flexibility. With that
Mhm.
being said, what did you learn about your ability to adapt, to change, and how did it begin to transform your career as a result of that, unfortunate moment at AT&T? Where was that for you?
You know, that again comes back to your experiences.
Yeah.
I think there's a word that I'm going to use that it's going to throw people, I think, and that's control.
Mm.
You can't control your career. You can't control your life. You can't control how your bosses and how the company's going to go. When I went to work at AT&T, there were people who were like third generation employees, like their grandparents and their parents all worked there. That
Oh
doesn't
yeah.
happen anymore. When they
Yeah.
started doing layoffs at AT&T because of divestiture, and again, for anyone listening and watching, I'm not 30 years old. So when I went to work at AT&T, it was 1984, 85, right after divestiture, where they broke up AT&T and T and all the Bell telephone
Yeah, I was gonna
companies.
say, yeah, my
Yeah,
bill and all,
so
yeah.
so they started doing layoffs. To AT&T, where you retired there with the gold watch and you had your grandkids and your kids all working there, they did a severance package to people. And honestly, after after being there for 6 months, I was like, "I'll take one." I thought, "This is not for me." You go to sales meetings and they're not giving out awards for sales, they're giving out awards for people who came to work for a year without a sick day. 5 years without a sick day, and I'm looking around thinking, "This is crazy." But but I didn't feel it was an environment, so when they started saying, "We're gonna offer severance packages," I volunteered at 6 months, and they're like, "Oh, no, 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 you don't get one." I was like, "Great, thank you." But they liked my fresh blood. They didn't like that I spoke up inappropriately, but they did like that I had fresh perspectives, because
Mm.
AT&T was a dinosaur.
Mm-hmm.
So when they started laying people off, they were freaking out. What am I going to do? My whole identity was around working at AT&T,
Yes.
retiring at 50 years and getting the gold watch. And then what do you do? And that was an important lesson to see, because especially today, how many companies are going to be around that you can stay with for 50 years? They don't
Yeah.
exist.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't
That.
exist. So when you try to control that you're going to find this company and stay there for 100 years, not going to happen.
Yeah, yeah. You're listening to For Our Edification. I'm Eddie Francis, and we're talking to Carrie KC West, and she is a speaker, an author, and also a narrative coach. So, narrative coach, do tell. What
Well,
is a narrative coach? I love the title.
thank you. Thank you. I I help people see the stories. I'm a hidden story doula. If you know what a
Oh,
doula
okay.
is, I help you
Yeah.
find the stories that are getting in your way. The stories that lock you up, the stories that create this identity that you need to shift, because when you shift your identity, you can shift everything. Everything.
Mm.
Everything. Your identity tells how you see yourself as a husband, a father, a son, a brother, a spouse, a partner, a radio commentator, a podcaster, how you see yourself. That defines you. And that's where these feelings of deservability and fear reside.
Mm.
What you
Mm.
should do versus what you want to do. And we all have that to some degree. We all
I
have
just
some
had this.
version.
I just had this conversation with someone about my path. So that is fascinating.
Hmm.
So you have found this place for yourself after you realize, hey, corporate life probably not the thing, and then you go into the consulting world, and now you help people tell stories or help them remove the blocks. And so, what about you? In order for you to do the stuff that you're doing, how did you find yourself developing a sense of personal leadership through this path that you've taken?
That is a really good question, Eddie. Oh my goodness, how did I do that? I want to say I fell into it, but I didn't.
Mm,
It was intentional. I knew if I was going to show people these things, I had to exemplify it. I had
mhm,
to be the pattern. I had to show them because I'd already done it. I had to take on that shift and change for me. And that was something that I had to practice. I had to step out of my comfort zone. I like to say I help people step out of their comfort zone into their unstoppable zone,
mm,
because your comfort zone is where you sit in the familiar. It's where you get up, you walk out of bed, you go and make your cup of coffee, you sit down and read the paper, you have breakfast, maybe not, get in the car, go to work, or go into your office and work from home. You have a pattern.
hmm.
You probably have a similar lunch every day. My spouse just came in before this call and said, "Lunch at noon?" Do you know he says that to me every day? "Lunch at noon?" "No, I think noon oh 05." You know, and he's like, "Oh, well, okay." But he always gets taken aback. It's like, you know, you gotta disrupt that familiar and know that your life's not gonna fall apart, but that's where this control comes in. I wanna control, I wanna stay familiar, I wanna know everything that's gonna happen. Why?
Yeah, yeah. Do you find that people often struggle with that? People often say, "I." So, for instance, do you find that people say it really bothers me to not know what's going to happen tomorrow?
They don't say it out loud.
Right.
They don't say it out loud, but look, we're in a time of uncertainty, aren't we?
Yeah.
We don't know. I mean, sometimes I kinda peek at a headline. I don't read the news, but sometimes I kinda peek at a headline to see. Like
Yeah.
when I just drove by the gas station and gas jumped up again, another
Yeah.
5 cents. It's like, ugh. It's like I come back and look at the headlines when I open,
Yeah.
because I don't know
Yeah.
what I'm gonna find,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's scary, and it's out of our control.
Hmm.
But we don't say that. So what happens is our stress levels are high.
Hmm.
If we would talk about these things, you first of all would see you're not alone. Everybody's feeling this. We are in this collective fear state right now of the unknown,
Hmm.
because we don't know.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah. For anybody who wants to let go, I would recommend being a consultant for a week because you will learn to let go whether you like it or not.
Yes, you will
So
learn there's no such thing as control.
zero. There is
Mhm.
zero such thing as control. And
Yeah.
I have learned that over the past 3 years.
Well, if you have kids,
So
you know there's no such thing as control either, right?
say again.
When you have
Oh.
kids, there's no such thing as control either.
Oh yeah, no, no. And it's so funny because my son, he wants to be in control of a lot of things. And I'm going, yeah, listen, man, you ruined my life, okay? I was headed down a glorious path, and here you come. No, but but
No,
I
no,
did I
you're
did I did have that talk with him one day when I said, "Hey, you're gonna have to really loosen up and kind of let go,
yeah.
and realize that it's a cliche, but you play the hand that you get dealt,
Mhm.
and it's so funny, Carrie. He is such a process oriented kid, Well, I shouldn't say kid. He's going to be 23 this year, but he is so process oriented. And he even told me one day, he said, Dad, I don't think we would have been friends in college because you like to party too much and blah, blah, blah. And I'm going, who are you? Where did you even come from? But yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, there are things that happen to us that force us to realize we don't have as much control as we thought we did. I thought that by now I would be a vice president of communications and marketing at a university. And a new president came in and had other ideas. So here I am consulting.
Hmm. Hmm. Can I challenge you on something?
Yes.
I love working with people who think you have to deal with the hand you've been given,
Why? Why is that?
because you don't.
Okay. Oh, please, please. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go with that. Go with that.
Okay. So I was born into a family that didn't want me. I almost
Mm,
died a couple times. I
mm,
was not treated properly. I have more horrific stories that I won't share right now.
okay.
And when people hear about that, unless you want me to, you want me to tell you the worst of it?
If you want to, it is up to you.
Okay. I was raped when I was 13.
Okay.
And when my father found out, he beat me and called me a slut.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so I had this view of life was that the world was against me. And I believed that that was the hand I was dealt.
Okay. Okay.
Now, when my dad died, I was 24, and I knew, and it got even worse. I was drinking like crazy and partying and getting into trouble.
Yeah.
I was on a path of destruction.
Yeah. Self medicating. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I realized that if I wanted to make it to 30, I had to do something else. And that's what led me on this journey to where I'm at today.
Mm,
And that's where I created my program. And you look at my life today, nobody believes some of the stories.
mm-hmm.
Because I don't tell them, I do tell the story so they know that you don't have to accept the hand you've been dealt.
Mm,
You can't, it's not a judgment if you choose that. I'm not. I mean, listen, some people who were dealt this hand that they are in a family of lawyers and now they're a lawyer and they make a lot of money and they go on fantastic trips, but in their heart of their hearts they're not happy. But
yeah.
on the outward they have this fabulous life and everything, the house in the Hamptons and whatever. I know a lot of those people too. And they followed in a path that was given to them. My mission is total freedom and authenticity.
Yeah.
To be
Yeah.
able to say to your boss, "Well, that was stupid," and not and not and not be slammed and have fear that your career is going to be ruined. And again, I'm not encouraging people to tell your boss that.
Yeah.
I'm
Please
saying find
don't.
a way to express this
Yeah.
honestly, because there is a fear. There is a fear that you will lose your job, your career, and your livelihood. And let's face it, a lot of people are worried right now about what their workload will be with AI. And, the headlines are all saying everything's falling apart, or like what happened to you. A new president came in and that department was shuttered.
No, not the department, just me. I was the only
Just
one who
you
was
were
shut.
shuttered. Okay.
The department was fine.
Yeah, the
But
department's
but
still there.
but to your point, and thank you
Hmm.
for that perspective, because to your point, right now a lot of people are being played a lot of hands, and they're being playing a lot of insane hands.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so yeah, I really really appreciate that. And so looping back around to the point of personal growth and development for yourself,
Hmm.
especially, and thank you for sharing that part of your past, because knowing that you have managed your life the way that you've been able to do what you've been doing. um, how do you continue to invest in your personal growth and development? Any specific things you do, any specific methods or tools?
Yeah, I keep working on myself. I keep meditating. I keep reading. I keep going to podcasts and listening to other people's journeys.
Yeah.
No, I don't mean that facetiously. When you listen to the stories that are out there, and
Yeah.
how people have overcome them. Look, I'm not the only one that's overcome stuff. I'm not. I'm not. And you look at so many people that have overcome worse and succeeded more. You know, I look at the Williams sisters. I'm a tennis buff. And
Okay.
Serena and Venus Williams, what they came from and how their dad helped them get a mindset that said they could, they would, they did deserve to be on that stage. And look at them today. Look at
Mm-hmm.
how much they're doing for their communities. I think they're two remarkable human beings who
Yeah.
overcame a lot worse than me and
Mm-hmm.
have far succeeded and have done more and are now in a position to change more. So
Yeah.
so these stories inspire. And that's what I listen to stories and I talk to people. I want to know their stories. I just had a call this morning with this woman who was so remarkable. And I thought, wow. And then she told me her hidden story.
Oh.
And I thought we gotta help her with that story because she is on a path and she's doing really well. But I could see her tripping,
Mm.
what you called a setback.
Mm-hmm.
And how would she recover from that setback?
Yeah. Is that a matter of writing, say, a new chapter
Hmm.
or rewriting a chapter?
Either. When I worked in the industry, every day on a film set, they start with where are today's rewrites. So even though, you have to have a script to get a movie or a project started, right? You
Right.
just don't
Right.
say, you just don't say, "Hey Eddie, come on, you want to do a movie?" And you go, "Okay, let's get the crew and let's start filming and let's just figure it out as we go." Not
Yeah.
going to happen. You have to have a script.
Yeah.
And once you have the script and you've cast it and you've got your crew and you've got your production plan, every day then as you're filming, you make rewrites because you found this actor made this character point beat a lot stronger, so let's explore that, and you are constantly evolving that story. Isn't
Mm.
that what we do in life?
Yeah. Yeah.
You meet somebody, they make you think.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, I'm somebody that makes people think and they consider, they shift their perspective. And you don't have to shift your perspective like that. These teeny tiny little shifts in perspective as you go down the road becomes huge changes from the original path.
Mm.
So I encourage people to share their stories because I never know when I'm going to get inspired. Like I said, this young woman today, I'm like blown away with her. It's like, what can I
Yeah.
learn from that interaction?
Yeah. So I love to end on um, I love to end on this one question that I ask all of my guests. And the question is this. Imagine that you are a skywriter and you get to go up on a plane and write any message in the sky for the edification of the nation. What would Carrie's message be?
Everything is possible. Everything is possible.
I love that. I love that. And you didn't even call me stupid during the podcast. Thank you so much. Carrie KC West is a speaker and author and a narrative coach. Okay, you didn't call my idea stupid.
No, I think what you're doing is brilliant because
Oh, thank you so much.
you have a platform where people can share their stories. So hopefully your listeners will be inspired, even if just a little nudge. It doesn't have to
Yeah.
be life changing. It just can be a little nudge.
Amen. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Let's talk about three things for our edification. And the first thing that stands out to me from my conversation with Carrie is be the pattern. When she talked about that, it really, really stood out to me that she feels that in order for her to expect things of her clients, she has to expect these things of herself first. And that goes to the core of what this podcast is even about. personal leadership and how personal leadership forms from people's career transformations. And so this is not just about personal growth and development for oneself. This is about personal growth and development so that other people can benefit and this world around you can be better. However, you can do that. The other thing, the second thing that stood out to me is control isn't what we think it is. I know this one all too well. I mean, I remember being 20 something thinking to myself, you know what? I need to be a millionaire by 30. I remember being in my 30s thinking I need to be a millionaire by 40. And I remember in my 40s thinking, I don't know what in the entire heck is going to happen to me by the time I'm 50. Don't know if that millionaire thing is going to happen. And it was really difficult to let go of that control that I thought I had over this path in my life. And one thing that has hit me is that I've met some people who are pretty miserable. And one of the reasons that they are miserable in their 40s, their 50s, their 60s is they thought that they would have control and they don't have the control that they believe that they should have. Now, listen, I'm not saying that having control of one's life is a bad thing. We should have some kind of control of our lives. But the problem is when we believe that we are entitled to complete control. So here's the third thing. And of course, you heard my response to this. And that was Carrie challenging me on this thought that we have to play the hand that we're dealt. I was so thankful that Carrie chose to share a very difficult part of her life. And it was a nudge to me to really come to reality and to recognize other people's realities because I can't imagine what she went through. But it's ironic, isn't it? It's ironic that while we don't necessarily always have control, and control isn't what we think it is, at least from my point of view, at the same time, we can choose not to play a hand that we're dealt. So I guess it's all about where we recognize we have control and how we handle these hands that we're dealt in life. And so I'm really thankful for that conversation with Carrie. Listen, if you want to find out more about her and her work as a narrative coach, then go to carriekcwest.com. Of course, that information is available in the show notes. And if today's episode sparked something in you, which I really hope it did, I would love to hear from you. You can connect with me on LinkedIn at Eddie Francis. That's where I'm most active. If you're on Facebook, then you can jump into the Edify Network Facebook group and you can let me know what you thought. And if you are a leader or an organization that is looking to communicate with impact, hey, I might be your man because I am a communication coach, a trainer, and a speaker. So visit me, please, today at eddiefrancis.com, and we'll see how I can help out. Now, if you know someone who needs to hear this kind of conversation, then please share this episode with them and let's grow together. Because what we're doing here is not for your edification or my edification, it's for our edification. For Dr. Halima Leek Francis, I'm Eddie Francis. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of For Our Edification. Pache.